Hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad, and today we're going to be playing some Jarl. We still are going to be playing some Katsu on this channel, I think a little bit, just because he's definitely in a pretty good spot right now. But I wanted to test one of the other decks that I was kind of considering bringing to Nats, which is Jarl. And I think Jarl's gotten quite a bit better since the kind of recent ban and restricted. You're obviously kind of losing out on one of your worst matchups, while also, I guess, losing the tool of CYB. But to some extent, I feel like CYB was a little bit of a crutch in Jarl. Like, it definitely helped into some of your, like, bad matchups like into I guess new and other kind of heroes, but for the most part I feel like Jarl could kind of get by without it. So this is going to be an attempt to kind of get by without it, and I think this list is actually quite solid, so I'm going to kind of talk about it here. So I think there are kind of like two main approaches to Jarl. There's the more ice focused builds, which are kind of like a little bit more all in and running like the 8 attacks, blues, and stuff like that. And I think those decks kind of struggle a bit into new, and I'm assuming that new is going to be probably legal for that season. So this list is going to be a little bit more geared towards like new and just being like more kind of fatigue oriented in general. So this is more kind of like an Earth Jarl, which is kind of just my preference. I think that both are probably viable builds. But I do think that this list is quite solid. So this is kind of a little bit more of like a fatiguey list, but it's almost like a fatigue through disruption type list. Where we're running disruptive effects like Plow Under, Icequake, Pummel, just like, generically like pretty strong cards. Lots of kind of like little 2-ofs here with these kind of effects. I'm still not entirely sure like what ratios I want, but this has felt like pretty good so far. Like the 2 Pummel, the 2 Icequake, and like the 2 each of the Plow Under and Easter. And this list also is running Sigil, which is kind of like budget CYB, but it kind of does get around certain cards like Bonds of Agony, it gets around like Arsenal Disruption. I think that Sigil of Solace is actually quite solid right now. And in the board, we're kind of running a very defensive package. So we have our Diriac package. We also have Oasis for Wizards, mainly for Kano. I think that Kano in general will try to like sack you if you're doing this kind of thing. But in general, you can kind of like you can try to beat them up basically before they can get to that point. So the triple Oasis is basically to kind of give us a little bit of inevitability, especially with like the Seeds tomorrow. And yeah, this is kind of just meant to be like a very kind of fatigue oriented, but not entirely fatigue oriented. It's more like fatigue by disruption kind of deck. So that's kind of what I'm going for here. But yeah, not too much else that's kind of like super notable about this list. I think it's just a pretty solid choice into the upcoming meta. So yeah, let's go ahead and try to get some games. All right, so we got a Fang. So into Fang, I think we generally try to fat deck for the most part. I think Oasis is probably unnecessary, but we probably just are going to bring in like all of our reacts and then all of our cards. Fang in general, from what I found, tries to fat deck us back. Could see running like one Oasis, but I also don't think it's necessary just in case they go for like the kill on us or something like that. Could also like cut. No, Ice Quicks are actually pretty good in a Fang. I think this is probably fine from what I can see. So yeah, we'll give this a shot. I think I also forgot to mention that I'm running like a 1 of Hypothermia in this list. I feel like that's been actually a kind of overperformer for me. I think the 1 of is pretty good, just because it like lets you buy back tempo into like Slippy and like decks that just have a lot of go again like Fang. Just a 1-card ability to kind of stuff a 4-card hand is quite powerful. All right, this is a pretty decent starting hand. If they go for discard here, do we want to get greedy? I feel like the answer is no. I think I'm just gonna let them do that if they want to just pass. I feel like discarding fruits there is like an easy way we can get blown out for like at least like 3 or 4 damage. I feel like the two life gain is probably not worth it there. Here, I think we're just gonna go discard the fruits and just develop out Crumble super early. In general, I like putting it on the grains. We can also see Brave. Like, I feel like these two are pretty similar. I'm gonna put it on the grains just in case. I feel like grains is better just because like the vigor tokens are sometimes relevant. Ooh, and hypothermia is a little bit spicy. Right, cut from the same cloth is fine. Notably, we do have Mangle. Unfortunately, we don't have an Earth card to play with it. That's not the end of the world. Okay, so lots of cut through from the same cloth is interesting. So we can't, unfortunately, like tear asunder the Mangle. I definitely do that if I could. I feel like the option here is probably just going to be, well, we could tear asunder a Mangle if we really wanted to, but it's probably not even good, right? Yeah, it's probably not great. I think we're just supposed to block a bit here. I feel like we still probably want to play Mangle, but I think I'm just going to block right here. Could have also say block for like the next stagger swing or something, but I think this is probably fine. Okay, coming in with Searing Gaze, which nobly will not have the on hit. So I'll leak a little bit of damage here, but not the end of the world. Alright, Blaze Headlong as well. Yeah, I think we're probably still committed to just trying to send this Mangle. It does feel like a little bit weird to like have to overpitch it, especially since we're not getting any additional value here. We can also just block with it. It's not super imperative we get a Mangle off, and then we can just like play out Hypothermia if we really wanted to slow them down. I think that's also kind of reasonable. I feel like Mangle is not super efficient here, so I feel like I'm not going to play it. If they pass here, I'm going to look a little stupid, but I think we're just throwing our hand in front of this. If we want to try to apply like a mark or something, I think we're okay with this. And this Hypothermia should hopefully ruin their next turn. Alright, we find the Mangle anyways. It's fine. Maybe hoping to use some reacts here. We also have our first Decompose live, which is really good. I feel like I'm being a little bit more passive here, but I feel like the Hypothermia does do quite a bit of work. Especially like turning off Go Again on their stuff, so they can't gain Go Again since these don't have base Go Again. So it probably means we're just going to like double react to whatever they do here. And then maybe just Arsenal the Pummel for a future turn. Seems pretty good. Notably, Pummel does have like anti-synergy with the plows, but I think this is fine. You can also sink it if worst comes to worst. Right, there's Scar. Probably just double reacting this, I imagine. Yeah, double reacting's fine. We will go ahead and decompose here. It does feel weird to kind of like use up the Earth cards, but that's kind of what they're there for. Go ahead and use those, and then I guess we'll banish a Terra Sunder just in case we want to like buy back the Mangle later. I think we will maybe just sink here. I don't want to sink the Pummel though. I think we're probably just going to send the Mangle. I feel like those block when we had that other Mangle was pretty low value, but it also felt like a little bit awkward just sending a dominated Mangle. I guess it's still like probably fine. I don't know. I feel like with this style of Jarl, I want to play like very passively. If I don't have to like attack into them, then I don't need to, right? Right, so notably we still only have one Earth card left. We probably want to look for a chance to maybe develop better gauntlets or like get the block on it. Just so we can throw it in the graveyard if we absolutely need to. Right, using Crown is probably a good sign for me. I'm very happy to see Crown gone early because it means we can start giving them some frostbites. Another thing I've noticed is that our Fang opponent here doesn't have any fealties, which is probably very... It's very strange to, I guess, be in that spot against a Fang. Kind of curious why they didn't just block with, like, Brave Forge plus this, and maybe they wanted to, like, filter with Crown. Did they tuck anything with Crown? I don't know that they did. Interesting. Alright, so what are we doing on this hand? Don't have anything we could buy back with So yet, so we're probably just looking to block a bit this hand, and maybe just, like, send a Titan's Fist. Probably don't want to filter with Crown yet. Seems a little bit greedy. Alright, they have the blue this turn, so no real reason to try to do anything here. Could just throw the So tomorrow in front of this. It's pretty likely, it's more often than not likely that the Obsidian Fire Vein comes in for 2 on the first one, so we might as well just try to block that. Then I think what we're doing is we're going to maybe block with the Autumn's Touch on the next chain link and then discard Fruits and Fist on our turn. A little bit of a middling turn, but you can sometimes have middling turns as Jarl, it feels like. Alright, so Fire and Brimstone. We might want to look to actually use our Stalagmite this turn as well, just to kind of slow them down a bit here. Alright, Fire Vein coming in. We could Stalagmite here, but I also feel like it doesn't accomplish much since at max they can only have like one other react. I feel like this Fire and Brimstone wasn't insane for them. Yeah, seems like maybe throwing Stalagmite there is probably a waste. Right, let's go ahead and just gain our life and then send it with Fist. Try to find a little bit of a better hand to use with this Pummel. Notably, we've not seen a CYB yet, so we should have 3 of those still left. Or sorry, did I say CYB? I meant CNC. The better card, the not banned card. All right, sync is fine. Choosing to is syncing or not syncing. Card was put on the bottom. Okay, sounds good to me. Ooh, we do have the CNC. Unfortunately, our tunic is not quite up yet. Sand probably still plays. I can cut from the same cloth is fine with me. It's actually kind of funny because our pummel is an arsenal, so they won't get the mark on that. Ooh, Saber Bloodshed as well. Looking to be a bit of a scary turn here. So they have like instant speed mark, right? They can like tip off or whatever. Are we fine with that? Kind of want to just like use imposing, pummel with offer remembrance, and then arsenal CLF for later. So I feel like we're just taking 9 here, and if they have like instant speed way to mark us, then whatever. All right, this is basically nothing. So they get their first mark online, but they're not going to get the card draw or anything. We are definitely taking a pretty big hit here with the Fire Vein coming in this big. They still didn't really have any like mark or fealty generation, so I guess we're kind of happy with that. Okay, let's go ahead and just still do the CNC pummel. It's obviously a little bit worse since, you know, they don't have an arsenal, but we at least get the discard out of them and get to arsenal CLF, which is good. So go ahead and get them to discard so we can just slow them down a bit. Seems like we got them to discard a react, which is also quite nice. This hand looks pretty good for like an Ice Quake, and maybe block with the Ice Quake CNC, block with Mangle or something like that. Is there another option? Not really. Do have that one resource floating. They don't have any fealty though, so maybe like throwing Stalagmite here is like kind of fine. Yeah, Stalagmite's like probably fine. Problem is like I want to like block with this Mangle at some point. Yeah, maybe this is better. We'll make them like attack with Fire Vein, and then we might Stalagmite just so we can get that 3 block value. Because we already have an arsenal that we want to keep, and if we're just Ice Quaking plus CNC, then we need to keep that in arsenal. I think we will go ahead and just throw Stalagmite in front of this, just be a little bit more annoying, especially when they're not online. Want to slow them down a little bit. All right, Sisters of Fire is an interesting one. I feel like I've not seen that one in a while. Yeah, so the Fang lists are still kind of a bit of a mystery to me. Feels like they kind of just play a pile of new cards every time. Right, go ahead and threaten the double Frostbite. Also makes reacts pretty annoying here. Notably, we're not destroying their arsenal or anything, but we are giving them 2 Frostbites and then also preventing them from playing any reacts or anything. So I think it's pretty good. Still sitting on the CLF for when we need to like go wide and try to use it. Right, seems like they're just going to take it here. It's just vanilla damage, but the double Frostbites are pretty annoying against Fang, I feel like. Right, double Sigil Hand is a little bit weird, especially when I want to try to deny fealty, but we can make it work. I imagine this turn is probably going to be a bit lackluster. All right, they did have the blue, though. Could make it even more painful if we really wanted to, but that's also probably not necessary. I do want to put this Earth card in graveyard just to set up our Decompose a bit. Yeah, I think we're not really in any rush here. Let's go ahead and just block with the Alms Touch, and then I feel like the Stalagmite might be a bit redundant here. Right, they have a Scar. No big deal. Still seems like they're kind of struggling to turn on their Fire Veins. Exude Confidence is also a decision. That is a crazy one. Yeah, I wonder what the logic is there. We'll go ahead and send it with Fist. Maybe we're like buffing a pummel or something, but gaining 6 life is pretty alright. And I think they also lost their... Didn't they have one fealty? I think they lost it because they didn't have a Draconic there. Are they just drawing like the non-Draconic half of their deck? It's kind of wild. Yeah, I feel like Fang without fealty is just like so bad. Seems like they're also not using their dynamos very readily. At least I haven't noticed it, maybe. Alright, go ahead and just double sigil. They did have the react there for what it's worth, so maybe using Dynamos doesn't really make sense. But alright, so what are we gonna do with this hand? Our CLF is still kind of being a bit bad here. We could do like E-Strike into felling off Tunic, though. That's an option. It's probably better to just block with a Tunic, though. I think I'm gonna just get a card out of them here. Let's go ahead and use the Stalagmite to slow them down a bit more. It does feel a bit like willy-nilly, but if we get them to pitch like a red here, I think it's probably worth. Especially on like a, what is this, a 4-card hand? Yeah, if we get a red pitch there, I think that's a win. Yeah, Plowlander is not a card that I've normally played in my Jarl list, just because I do think it has the anti-synergy with like what you want to set up in your arsenal. But I think it's still probably reasonable, and I kind of just wanted like a little bit of extra earth density, so we're kind of trying it out a bit. But yeah, it seems like our Fang opponent here is definitely kind of in the struggle, although they do have 2 fealty now. So 2/3 of the way there, but being 2/3 of the way there on turn 8 is quite rough. Right, we got plenty of decomposed fodder. So our next couple fellings should be very live. No, we'll just get the go again off this E-Strike. I feel like E-Strike is just a good card in this deck because it punishes your opponent for trying to like block out, and then like if you have E-Strike into Disruption or E-Strike in it, like it's just a good smoother. Like if you are given a 4-card hand as Jarl, which if your opponent's like blocking out on a felling or something, they're pretty likely to do so. Just having some extenders to make to allow you to kind of like capitalize on your hand is quite nice. I think it's at a 2 of right now just because it's not earth or it's not ice, which makes it a little bit awkward. But it being a 3 block with Gogan is quite nice. All right, let's go ahead and pull Tunic and just Felling, which will get the full modes because we already set up that root bound. And then I guess we'll go ahead and just banish. Want the opportunity to buy back Mangle, so we'll go ahead and banish like Hypothermia or something random. But yeah, it looks like we're not even gonna have to really rely on fatigue this game. It's more so just like we can disrupt them. We're probably in a good spot. They are, for what it's worth, like winning, I guess, on fatigue, but kind of feels like we're probably going to kill them before they get to that point. All right, Oath of Loyalty, not bad. We can do like CLF into Terra Sunder or something. It's cute, but I don't think it's probably necessary. I think we'll just go ahead and maybe like Arsenal the Winter's Bite and just kind of like space out a disruption a little bit, because Channel Like Frigid probably should be disruptive enough on its own. I think the plan here is just do Channel Like Frigid into pitch Terra Sunder to Titan's Fist or something. I feel like double disrupting them, especially with the CLF out, is not incredibly impactful. Just go ahead and make their D-reacts a bit painful here, especially it seems like they're running some good number. Like they probably have at least 2 Loyalty Beyond the Graves left, if not more reacts. Yep, and it seems like there's the other copy, which they're gonna have to pay 2 reds for. Yeah, that's pretty rough. I imagine they're probably not even gonna draw a card off of this next turn, just because like drawing a card through a CLF seems kind of useless. Ooh, this hand's also pretty good. We can do like pitch into, oh, I guess they are gonna use the loyalty there. Interesting. This is kind of a cool hand because we can like shelter something and then just like pitch to gauntlets and then send another felling at them. Things are going, I would say, pretty well. They're also going to have to pay 1 for this, which is probably a little bit frustrating. Ooh, double punch fealty draw is a little bit rough. They are online for what it's worth, I guess, but like them not being able to attack in is quite rough. All right, let's go ahead and I think overpitch a little bit. We'll keep a shelter in the deck. I think that's reasonable. Then just go ahead and play this. I'm gonna hold on to the Winter's Bite in case we need it for next turn. Again, just trying to space out my disruption a bit here. We're gonna keep this around for another turn, which is probably gonna be backbreaking. I imagine, like, if they can, they're probably just blocking out here. I guess that loyalty does kind of make sense because it gets them to their third fealty. But, like, also they're Fang, so they can't really afford to block out here unless they want to, like, lose all their fealty. So they kind of ultimately have to play into this if they want to, like, keep stuff around. But it seems like they're maybe giving up on that. This is a very non-draconic oriented Fang list. Seems very suspect because, like, it feels like they're not just able to keep fealty around at all. Speaking of suspect, this hand leaves a bit to be desired, but not even the end of the world here. It's also funny that they have to, like, pay to crack a fealty. Yeah, it seems like they're kind of back to square one here. Okay, let's go ahead and play the Winter's Bite here. Just be a little bit annoying, slow them down a bit. And we have the option to, I guess, IP with an Unforgetting Unforgiving, which we'll probably go ahead and take. Should be able to get the value out of it and just Arsenal the Rootbound. I don't think we're IPing with both of them because it's, like, semi-likely they just, like, block here and then send, like, Dagger for 1 or whatever. Notably, we are losing the CLF, so I guess it's semi-likely that they're able to, like, play some stuff here, but it seems like they're kind of just struggling a bit. Okay, playing out these Sharpened Senses. Still have plenty of Decompose, so we can do, like, Ice Quake on a Plow Under, which is also quite nice. I imagine they might not even set up an Arsenal here. Right, Saber Bloodshed as well. Right, and I think, yeah, we're not marked. We're not going to be marked, so it's pretty safe to just block a bit here. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of block value out of our gauntlets. Do we want to mangle? We can mangle if we really want to. Might be better than Plow Undering. Sure. Or I guess do we use all 3 of them? Okay, this is still fine. We can Ice Quake and Plow Under. We'll lose our Rootbound unless they, like, attack with the other dagger here. Which I guess we'll might as well convert that value, right? We'll not decompose just to leave a bit more fodder in our yard. Because what we have 4 right now, which is, like, a little bit suspect. Right, go ahead and Ice Quake. Should be pretty annoying. And then Plow Under is not doing anything here, so we also, like, just don't even need to decompose this. We can just come in for 9 on-hit Frostbite. Still not bad. And it kind of just, like, affects, like, I'm kind of thinking this is, like, a fatigue. Like, there are, I think, more fatiguey versions of Jarl, which are, like, aiming to fatigue through damage as opposed to, like, fatigue through disruption. But I do think that the disruption is kind of more fun, first of all, and also I think maybe just a little bit more interesting in terms of, like, gameplay. Like, feels like it gives you a little bit more proactivity into decks like Verdance or, like, Florian, where they just want to, like, block you and stuff. Like, I feel like that might be a struggle for the more fatigue version of Jarl. All right, we can get 2 Frostbites here. And this hand's probably just looking like just send CNC Arsenal so or whatever. Yeah, I think our opponent is I guess we probably should have held that back, but it's whatever. I think we're so far ahead this game that I don't see there's a way for them to come back, especially as Fang. And yeah, it seems like they maybe agree. Yeah, like, let's take a look at their deck list. I'm kind of curious, like, what they're doing here. It seems just so light on fealty generation, like, especially in Draconic stuff. It seems like they're kind of relying on getting that 3 fealty and then just, like, trying to have everything be above rate, assuming you get there. But, like, I feel like you need more effects to really like turn on your fealty generation. Like the generic stuff is like cute and all, and like the market is good, but like ultimately you need to like get online super fast. And I feel like that's how Fang is able to like extract a lot of his value. This list is like interesting though. It kind of reminds me of a lot like kind of earlier Fang experimentation where like people kind of thought he was bad. And I think he's still to some extent bad, but yeah, like there's kind of just like it feels like it's just too slow to get online. Okay, yeah, let's see if we can get another. So we got a Cindra. What do we want to do in a Cindra? So obviously Hypothermia and Blizzard probably come in. I think Root Bounds are like pretty much always in. Pummels seem kind of unnecessary. I feel like reacts in general are just quite good in a Cindra. Ice Quakes also probably get cut. I feel like this is probably pretty reasonable. Oh, I think I also cut Sigils in this matchup. So maybe like leaving the Ice Quakes. Yeah, that seems, I think, fine. Let's run it like this, see how it goes. Okay, what are we starting out with here? So Mangle's interesting. Could just hit him with like a Terra Sunder turn 1. And like Arsenal Mangle. It's kind of the play I see. But notably only come in for 4. Also, running Pouncing Paws is quite interesting. If I see another line here, I feel like I don't. Yeah, let's just do it. I think it's probably fine. If we get their Pouncing Paws block, then I think we're fine with that. If they want to just take some damage, I think I'm also okay with that. Imagine the appropriate response to this is probably just to block 3 and then take good damage and discard 2 cards. But we'll see what they do here. Pouncing Paws is an interesting decision. I wonder what the logic is behind that. This is like a dual threat Cindra. Running CNC as well. Interesting. I'm kind of suspecting maybe dual threat. That's at least what Pouncing Paws kind of draws my attention to. Seems like there's also maybe like a blue line Cinder or something. The CNCs are very interesting to me. All right, so we have Mangle and Arsenal. We have Plow plus Eisen. I think it's probably just a blocking hand more than anything. It seems like they're going to get a little bit of dagger value. That's okay with me. Could shelter if we really wanted to. Shelter's kind of interesting. I feel like we would probably get the 4 value out of it though. Like it's pretty likely. Let's see what they do first. Maybe we'll use it on the flick trigger or whatever. All right, another dagger. I feel like this we might just shelter now. If they're just gonna like start sending some daggers, maybe that's fine. You want to flick in response to this? I think I'm also okay with that. All right, throw dagger. Sure. Very interesting. Guess we could have maybe saved this back a little bit. I haven't actually like played with shelter where the other mode has been relevant most of the time. Feels like for me most of the time this is just 0 for 4 react number 9 or whatever. All right, go ahead and let that happen. So now we just need to block out this chain link and we should be good. Probably just throw like a 3 block in front of it, and then what? Do you want to probably prioritize putting... I feel like we're just blocking out with our entire hand regardless of what they do. I guess we'll like keep Eisen as our last result. So block with the Oakenold here. They have Empowerment and notably doesn't even really do anything because we still have that 1 prevention floating. All right, seems like they're re-equipping some daggers. This is prevented. All right, another Burning Blade Dance. That's also fine. Just go ahead and fill the graveyard up a little bit and just kind of stave off some damage. All right, and then we'll go ahead and just send in Titan's Fist for 3 here. A little bit underwhelming, but not the end of the world. We basically took nothing from that turn, or we took like, what, 2 damage? I think it's okay. Our hand wasn't really doing much there, I feel like. Just kind of pretty weak. Next turn, we can maybe look to like send Mangle off Tunic or something. Ideally, I'd like to play out a Crumble first if we find one. All right, no Crumble yet. Blue Snatch is also quite interesting. We do have the option to do an Ice Quake on a CNC, which could be quite good. So yeah, maybe we're looking to take a bit of damage here, but we also might not be able to keep that. It kind of depends on what they got. Right, let's, I think, go ahead and block with Bengal here. I guess the nice thing about like a blue version of Cindra is that their damage is a lot more inconsistent, which is nice. So we do need to block this to prevent the draw. I feel like we can probably just give a little bit of armor here. We also don't need to be committed to this mangle if we just want to fish it away with CNC, or with the crown rather. But I think maybe just Stalagmite plus Gauntlets is probably good enough. I do probably want to try to hold on to this if I can. So we'll go ahead and use a little bit of armor here. Using the Stalagmite does feel a bit bad, but if they're more kind of blue-oriented Cindra, then maybe it's not even as good. Okay, and it seems like they're just going to buy back some daggers here. But we have stopped the mass for this turn, which is nice. Somewhat unlikely that they're going to be able to re-trigger it here. I imagine they're probably just going to try to set up an arsenal. Or I'm hoping, at least, that they try to set up an arsenal. But yeah, it does feel a little bit bad to kind of give this much armor this early. All right, throw in another dagger. Very scary. All right, so the chain is now continued. So we might not get greedy here. We might just try to like block with our hand and then set up for next turn. We do have the ability to maybe stop the draw trigger with Ice Quake. We probably will. Ooh, Razor Reflex also. All right, so looks like they're maybe just getting the draw here anyways. I guess if they have to like get a bunch, if they have to like play a bunch of below rate cards to get a draw trigger, maybe that's just fine. If they keep an arsenal here, then like the draw basically doesn't matter. So it's kind of fine. Although this is a very spicy Cindra deck. Not seeing blue snatch. It looks like they're okay, interesting. It's very strange to me. Imperial Seal Command. What is this card? This is a Draft Chaff Cindra deck. Okay. It's still fine though. I mean, I imagine they still are going to get hurt by an Ice Quake on a CNC. But yeah, that is a very fascinating card. Guess they are royal, right? Or if you're a royal, next time you hit a hero this turn, destroy all cards in the arsenal. Okay. Very scary. I imagine we're probably just going to use Crown here to fish away this if they pop their command. Hope to not hit a hand with a bunch of D-Reacts, though. That'd be quite scary. Right, seems like they're going to just take it, lose a blue snatch, which is wild that they're running multiple copies of that. It's kind of interesting. All right, this hand, it looks like we're not going to get that blown out by Imperial Solo Command, although I guess our Sink Below is a little bit worse. They have to use this as an action, which is at least nice, so we don't have to like worry about instant speed, them using this or whatever. Well, they are going to use it. Okay. Well, I guess we're just going to like fish with Crown here. So the next, if you're a royal, the next time you hit a hero this turn. So we should use it now. Sure. Go ahead and just save our arsenal, I guess. So our goal here is probably going to be to look to Arsenal, what? Arsenal Sink Below. Unfortunately, only run one of these, which is kind of cool. But I think we're maybe looking to block on like Chainlink 3 or something. They don't have Go again on this. Is also interesting. Yeah, we've been running into some kind of wild hunted decks tonight. Right, so they don't really have a way to give this go again, so the card draw probably does not matter. In which case we can like still just send Mangle. We can send Mangle for like 10 off of after a Winter's Bite and then Arsenal Sink. So I guess we can keep this. It's probably fine. They want their card draw here. That's okay. They get to reset their daggers for what that's worth, but I'm surprised they're not running the Dragon Scale Flight Path. Seems like those are quite solid right now. Fortunately, we don't have the 1/1 counter, so this Mangle is obviously a lot worse. If we get them to discard a card here, or get them to discard pitch, whatever, get a card out of their hand, we're probably in pretty good shape. All right, getting rid of Empowerment. I don't imagine they're going to be wanting to block a Mangle anyway, so we might as well just send it for 10 here. Get a bit of damage on the board. If they want to block it, so be it. And go ahead and Arsenal the Sink here. All right, how close are we to decomposing? We can block with our gauntlets. So we can do a baby decompose on this. We can't do the full decompose unless we get something in our yard. Oh, they are a dual threat Cindra. I did call that correctly. It kind of just was reminiscent of Ira, I guess. So what are we going to do here? Maybe looking to Arsenal the Felling, in which case I want to probably get some more Earth in Graveyard, which means we probably want to block with Gauntlets. Maybe I'll just block with Gauntlets here, although we don't have to do it here. We can maybe just take the one. We'll put these in. We'll try to put these in Graveyard maybe this turn, but we'll see what they got here. Oh, the dagger is also fine by me. I think we'll try to block cards that actually matter as opposed to daggers. Right, there's the brand. I think we'll go ahead and just like give them E-Strike here. Seems fine. Right, do have the empowerment. Fortunately, I guess we can like cover this with like Rootbound and just get another Earth card in bin. Fortunately, we don't have the extra decompose here, but I don't think there's any real way to do it this turn because can't put our gauntlets on in the bin this turn unless they close the chain. And then they'd have to attack after closing the chain, which seems pretty unlikely from a Cindra. Ooh, Blood Runs Deep is pretty solid. So they blocked this mass trigger, right? They didn't hit with it. Interesting. I wonder why they didn't flick there to keep that going. Interesting, interesting. I feel like we're just taking this then. They shouldn't be drawing off Mask. And we'll just send a Baby Felling here. And Baby Felling is still fine. Get rid of that. And then I guess we get rid of like Mangle or whatever. Don't think it matters much against Cindra. Still sitting on Sync, which is nice, and they've already used their Imperial Seal or whatever, so pretty unlikely that they're going to be able to get much more value out of like D-React prevention or whatever. Okay, and this hand is excellent. So we can get our Rootbound value and also get some additional value out of this hand. This might actually be a Quick Dodge Flexor's turn. Is it? Could be. No, it's probably not, because we need the blue to pitch, right? Yeah, it's not a Flexor's turn. I think this is just like a double react turn. We still don't have the Earth Carb, so this will come in for 3, but that's probably fine. Maybe actually give Gauntlets or Stalagmite on... I guess there isn't a Kunai number 2 just yet. Devotion Never Dies. So this does have the on-hit live. Yeah, I guess we're just sync blowing this. Do we want to sync it? Or do we want to sync this Rootbound? I feel like we don't. I'm not gonna, I think. I think we're gonna hold on to this. Okay, and it seems like that was warranted. Wonder if they think they're gonna hit with this. In which case, this is quite good for us. The double Razor Reflex is very, very spicy, though. This is a definitely an interesting Cindra list. I can definitely see that how like this could be like an evolution of Cindra to kind of like distinguish it from Fi a bit. we have a bit more on hit stuff. It feels like 5 maybe just does that better though. I don't know. And no daggers is also quite suspect. All right, go ahead and just set up the big oak and old. We do have a counter for what it's worth. We're probably not going to be able to blow it up though, unless they get rid of it themselves. But we should be significantly hurting their next hand. All right, seems like they're getting rid of a CNC. Makes sense to me. All right, and through the luck of Oak and Old, we have kind of pulled a little bit ahead this game. All right, Snatch coming in. We do have the answer to that with the Root Bound. They cannot raise a reflex or ancestral empowerment this, so I don't think there's any way they pump it unless they're running lunging press. And if they do, then that is good for them. We could also just say no blocks on this and assume that their card draw does nothing. That would let us play like CLF into E-Strike, into Crumble too if we really wanted to. Yeah, I don't think we need to really do anything about this. Like, they don't have a way to give go again or anything, so like we don't really care about the card draw. Right, let's go play out CLF. Now, I'm debating if I want to do E-Strike Go again, or if I want and play out Crumble, or if I want to just E-Strike Buff. I feel like the answer is maybe Go again, honestly, just so we can get this out of Arsenal. Also, maybe gets us closer to blowing up their Flick Knives or whatever. Like, we're basically losing out on, if you treat armor as life, we're basically losing out on 2 damage, or we're losing out on 1 damage to play out a Crumble, which could like be very meaningful next turn, especially with the Dominate. So I kind of don't mind this. All right, go ahead and slap it on the Flicks. And took away that card. Okay, hand is pretty mid, but we can try to fix it here. Let's maybe try to sink something, and worst case scenario, we can fall back on our Tunic. I guess it doesn't really matter here, probably, right? Yeah, we're probably just sending it regardless. But we do get Dominate on it, which is quite nice, and they also can't react. So I think this is the play. Yeah, I guess like cycling a card there really doesn't mean anything. I feel like there's no real point to doing that. I guess we maybe like filter towards cards faster is maybe a rationale. I don't know. Feels like it's kind of interesting. I wonder if like the sync blow is actually like wrong there. Could be. Yeah, I'm not sure. Still just getting a ton of value here out of just kind of, we're not even like really fatiguing them. We're kind of just outvaluing them. Okay, it feels like our play here. You do want to use quick dodge before the game ends, but I think I honestly might just stalagmite this. Yeah, it feels like a pretty good use of stalagmite. Just kind of keep them off daggers, and also like if they have a red stuck in hand or something, like it gets pretty annoying. Just kind of want to next turn develop out another CLF and then have a bit of fun. All right, let's go ahead and CLF. And probably just pitching the Frozen Death here. Keep another CLF around just in case we need it next turn. Fortunately, we didn't really get the opportunity to really break any equipment this game, but like for the most part, I feel like Jarl can kind of benefit a lot from just forcing, like getting your opponent to a spot where they might have to start blocking with equipment. Which I feel like we're almost at that point. Maybe not quite, but I feel like this next turn is probably their kind of really last chance to get back in the game. Tenacity also very spicy. Seems like they're maybe just going to preserve life total here and just send like a card at me or whatever, which is in general what I feel like you should probably do into CLF. Yep, okay, seems like that's what they're going to go for. All right, go ahead and bottom that Prison Death, Arsenal CLF. All right, coming in with the brand. I feel like in our turn we can just send like CNC at them. Maybe just block this and then like discard fruits, gain a little bit of extra life. It seems fine to me. We probably don't need to keep CLF around if we're stripping a card out of them. They might also respect like a pummel if we hold back the fruits, especially with Tuna counter up. And we still have access to our quick dodge, so I feel like if they ever do get the opportunity to keep a pretty decent sized hand, then the quick dodge is probably going to do a lot of work. It seems like they're just going to give some blocks here. We'll go ahead and discard these fruits. All right, pass back. Yeah, I don't know. This list has just felt very, very solid in testing for me. Just feels almost like, I don't know, like what does your opponent really do about it? Do you have any mangles left? We have two, or we have one mangle left. Oh, we might as well use it, right? Go ahead and get one. Right, Ignite is also fine. Could theoretically just... Oh, maybe they're just using the Ignite to buy back daggers. That also, I guess, makes sense. There's no way they like kill us here off of a singular card. So I feel like there's no real incentive to block this. Could block it with like the Sotomaro or whatever. But we can also just send like pretty, like we can do like channel like Frigid into dominated buff Mangle. Feels like it would be pretty hard to come back from that. All right, yep, it seems like they're probably toast here. Let's go ahead and pitch the Earth card here. Go ahead and pitch the Earth Ice card to the Gauntlets. And then we'll finish on the Mangle. Should be pretty hard for them to block here. They have 3 block on board, they can block 3 in hand, and if they have like React in Arsenal, I guess they can live, but like still not doing great at that rate because you're having to pitch at least a card from hand, lose like 2 pieces of equipment, and then also a card. Like you're basically losing. You get to keep 2 cards if you do that. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily seem like a real winning position. I wonder if I had an opportunity to use like quick dodge maybe earlier this game. I feel like quick dodge is always just a weird card for me to use. Feels like if I'm behind, it's sometimes awkward to use because it doesn't like fully block out breakpoints or whatever. And if I'm ahead, right, like I don't really want to use it either. Yeah, it seems like they didn't have the react there. Okay, very interesting. Let's take a look at this list. We're running triple razor reflex, CNC, dual threats, some number of blues. I guess the blue snatches. I guess maybe their goal here is to just do a bunch of like weird greedy shit. Like I guess you can like razor reflex snatch and that's good, or like I don't know. This is kind of a little bit suspect here. Like feels like there's so much going on between the razor reflex and then also the dual threat, but like maybe they have a way to make it work, or maybe their goal is to like dual threat after they do a bunch of draconic stuff and then snatch at the. It feels like it's just very fragile to disruption, kind of as we showcased a little bit. But I don't know if like a regular Cindra would do much better. But they did run like a decent amount of blue, so maybe they are kind of somewhat onto something and maybe just high rolled or whatever. Okay, but yeah, I think that's probably gonna wrap it up for today. So we played against a couple weird decks, but I still feel like this deck has a lot of solid potential. I want to kind of get some practice maybe into Kanos and Prisms and like weird stuff this weekend to just kind of like test this deck and see if it's a real deck for Nats. But I do think this deck is like pretty real for Nats, especially if you're running like if you're doing something that's like unfair, like playing like 3 Oasis into like Kano, or if you're running like a bunch of D-Reacts for like Prism and like other decks, and then you also have like this kind of like aggro game plan for like Florian and stuff like that. Like I feel like this deck has a lot of good equity coming into that season. Like the honestly the scariest part of this deck is just like our opponent's gonna like slow down the game or whatever, or like am I gonna play too slow and not be able to like close out games. But I feel like in general I'm a pretty fast player, so that's kind of why I'm considering it for Nats. But yeah, I don't know, this list seems like just very solid to me, at least in my kind of initial testing. I think like these two ofs are kind of like maybe where I'm gonna try to consolidate a little bit, but I kind of like the situation I'm in right now. But yeah, anyways, I think that's probably gonna wrap it up for today. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.